Hello and welcome to the Olfactive Melbourne podcast. I'm your host, Trent Stokes.
And I'm Robin Stokes. We're a husband and wife team passionate about perfume, and we're on a journey to better understand and explore the art of perfumery. We're coming to you today from Melbourne, Australia, and we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're recording. They are the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to the elders, past and present, and we extend that same respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening to the recording today.
On this show, we interview Australia's premier niche, artisanal and indie perfume brands. From the founders to the perfumers and on to the creatives who take us on a guided journey through a fragrance that best represents their brand. The show is wrapped around a masterclass in which we invite our guests to take us through each stage of the opening, the heart, and the base. The show unfolds in real time, meaning that there is time in between the opening and the heart and the base. And this is known as the dry down. During the dry down, we take the opportunity to deep dive into the perfumer's journey, their brand, their mission, their vision, their values, along with getting a better understanding of some of the technical terms in perfumery, along with how to identify individual notes and accords so that we can more deeply connect with perfumery, and also so that we can better identify the notes that we like and dislike. This allows us to make more informed decisions about the fragrances that we connect with and that we ultimately wear. The show is designed to be both educational and entertaining. So if you like what we do, please like and subscribe and make sure to sit back, relax and enjoy the show. The Olfactive Melbourne podcast is proudly sponsored by Watchvault, Australia's premier destination for luxury and vintage timepieces. Each watch is trusted, verified, and ready for its next chapter. Visit watchvault.com.au to discover your next timeless investment.
Today, we're absolutely thrilled to have with us on the show Rhiannon Mapstone from Cosmic Witch Society.
Hello.
Hello. It's a beautiful Australian brand that blends beautifully mysticism with nature and personal storytelling. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So, Rhiannon, to start off, it'd be great to hear from you just to tell us a little bit about the brand. So, where are you based? How long has the brand been around? And what does the brand encompass?
Okay, so Cosmic Witch Society is an artisanal perfumery, primarily. So that means we make everything, or I make everything, I formulate everything, and I also design everything. So everything we do with the perfumes is done in-house. Yeah, and we're based out near the Central Highlands, yeah. So we just recently moved out that way. So I've got more room to plant lots of lovely things to put into our potions. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I believe you brought a perfume on with you today.
I did, yeah.
So we've got people who watch and also people who listen. So those people who are listening right now, what fragrance have you brought on and why have you chosen that fragrance to feature today?
Okay, so I chose Midnight Grove, which is pretty much our signature scent, because it encapsulates or it's inspired by the archetype of the witch. And being Cosmic Witch Society, I really wanted to create that that core signature scent that smells like a witch exploring in the forest. So it has lots of really beautiful, rich terpene notes. So it really brings that pine, forest, earthy, musky smell. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to smell it. And I think while I wait, let's get it straight out. So I'm going to grab a few here. And
we're going to pop it onto both skin, right? And also onto some blotters?
Onto some blotters. We've got to get a really well-rounded experience of the fragrance.
I'm already wearing this one.
Oh,
fantastic. So I'm just going to pop it onto our blotters here first. And then do you want to present?
Yes.
Fantastic. I'll pop it onto your skin. I'm going to pop it onto mine as well. Fantastic.
It's funny, this perfume. I always feel like it smells better on the skin than it does on the blotter. Whereas it's the only one of the whole collection where I think it just opens up better on skin. Maybe because it's all the musk notes in it. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, well, we're going to lean on you to take us through the notes, but just before we do, this is an educational podcast, and so we like to educate people who may be new to perfumery on what an opening note actually is. So if we think about the construction of perfume in terms of a pyramid, we have our opening notes right at the very top. We have our heart notes right in the center, and then we have our base notes right at the very bottom. So we're about to talk about opening notes, and opening notes are generally made up of the lightest and the most volatile aroma molecules. That means that those molecules surface in the fragrance first, so we smell them first, but they also dissipate the soonest. Typically with opening notes, we get roughly, say, 15 to 30 minutes of an opening note experience. It's just serving as an introduction to what the fragrance is all about. So, with all of that explained, let's have a smell, and then you can explain to us what's actually going on here in the opening.
Okay, cool. So the top notes, or the opening notes, you should smell actually the forest, the terpene notes, the green notes. I really wanted that to be present at the beginning. And somehow you have no choice either if you're using really strong terpenes. They will always want to come through first. Yeah. So you'll smell galbanum, which is that really green, fresh note in there as well. It's a resin. There's Scotch pine. There's also a natural isolate terpene that I use in there as well. And I have a lot of black pepper, absolute, and clary sage as well. So that gives it that really herbaceous note that kind of nestles into the green.
So I've been nodding along as you've been saying the word terpene. And I'm going to admit right now, I don't know what a terpene is or a terpene note. Can you just maybe explain terpenes a little bit more?
Well, they're commonly present in pine. Yeah. So you're going to see them. You see them a lot through other botanicals in nature, but people will primarily think of it as a pine note. Yeah. So it's an isolate. Yeah. So a natural isolate is something that is a singular scent molecule. So one plant could have, let's say, 200 chemical constituents that makes it so unique and beautiful. And what happens when we create a natural isolate is that companies like, say, Robertet will singular out that one molecule that makes it smell so beautiful and so unique, the one that feels very distinctive and characteristic of that plant, and then we get to use it.
That's what you've done here with this the pine note. You've isolated that one.
Yes, because I find pine on its own, it can smell too much like Christmas, or it can smell too much like a loose spray. Do you know what I mean? So it can really take over. Yeah. There's certain notes that you have to be really careful to not use too much of the real thing. Otherwise, it just doesn't have that nice, luxurious feel to it. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned galbanum just briefly, and I don't have a huge amount of experience with that. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about.
Okay. So what I do know of it is that it is a resin. And the characters of galbanum, it's a green resin. Yeah, so it has a very fresh, almost pine smell to it. And I think that they work really well together to lift that kind of pine scent through the beginning of the perfume. Yeah, because I wanted it to smell really, really earthy, really grounded, this perfume. I didn't want it to feel, you'll hear some perfumers talk about perfumes are feminine or masculine. I don't usually like to use those terms, but if I'm going to in this sense, it's like the scent probably feels a little bit more on the mask side of things, using more kind of resin and woody and herbaceous notes. Yeah. But to me, they're just really strong notes, power notes. Yeah.
So the fragrance is called Midnight Grove.
Yeah.
it's conjuring a whole bunch of images in my mind.
Good word.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're saying Midnight Grove, are we what are we picturing, I guess, in our minds?
Okay, cool question. So I always run through this with my customers when they come and visit us. So like I said previously, it's made in honor of the archetype of the witch. And when I sat with this, I was like, how do I see this? Where am I? And I've got quite a vivid imagination. So this is how I felt when I was making this perfume. I saw myself standing in this really beautiful old world forest. And, when you go visit the redwoods, that feeling if you kind of get to be there alone a little bit in some of the sections of the redwoods up near Warburton or along the Otways, and you just take a little moment to yourself and it just feels like everything's at peace and you feel very connected. It's such a nice feeling, and I really wanted the perfume to feel like that.
So all these notes that you've just described now, that they really do make sense in terms of the imagery that you're putting forward, what the real message of the fragrance is. That's pine terpene. I'm getting that that right. Well, that pine note, I am definitely smelling it. Probably a little bit more on my skin than I am on the blotter. And yeah, I mean, we've discussed this a couple of times on the show how different fragrances can be when they interact with your skin chemistry.
Totally.
Heat on your skin.
For me, it goes really musky straight away. So I really smell the incense musk notes and then lots of patchouli, which I love.
It's really delicious. I've got to say, it's funny that word just came out. I'm getting that sort of like a sweetness out of it.
It's the musk.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's a musk accord that I made, and so it has little hints of rose and jasmine in there as well. So I think that brings some of the sweetness value.
That's punching through from the heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I needed it to just all good perfumes have rose in them. So they do, no matter what. Even if you don't know it's there, it's there. Yeah. So yeah, and it kind of just needed a little bit of that. Yeah.
Probably a good thing to note here that when I take people through the perfume pyramid, I say, hey, you're going to smell the opening notes first, and then you're going to smell the heart, and then you're going to smell the base. But that's not always the way it unfolds. You actually do get some of those heart notes, and even sometimes some of the base notes sort of penetrating through from the opening, just depending on the formulation.
Definitely, and I think you'll find that's really a common thing when you're working more with naturals. Yeah, because you're working with a live formula. And so, yeah, sometimes it will just act a little bit different, or it'll push forward and it'll be like, pick me.
Can I just quickly ask, the black pepper that you've popped in, what does that bring to the top notes?
Just a little bit of spice. Yeah, I just think it really sits beautifully with any type of herbaceous note. So the greens, pepper just helps to kind of give it that little bit of a razzle-dazzle sparkle on top. I don't know, it's how I would expect it to smell. Yeah. Sometimes I just go in blind and I'm like, I don't know exactly where it's going to go. But with this one, I was like, no, I'm going to go with the black pepper. I had everything kind of lined out and how I was going to map it out. But yeah, I've wanted that little bit of sparkle. Yeah.
The vision from the start.
Yeah. Yeah. So because it was kind of the first perfume that I made for CWS, so I had a little bit more time to really sit with this and, make it how I really wanted it to be. And because if it's going to be a signature scent, and the one that encapsulates the essence of what it means to be a witch. So, yeah, it's about our connection with nature, spirit, the cosmos. Yeah, so that's why it has whiskey notes in there as well. You might smell a little bit of that. Because people use, depending what type of practitioner you are, people leave offerings in many different cultures, and a lot of people leave spirits for spirits. Yeah. Yeah. So I really wanted to add that in as well.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to unpack more of this as we go. Now, we mentioned at the very start of the show that the show unfolds in real time, which means that we need time for the fragrance to dry down, those opening notes to start to dissipate so we can fully experience the heart. Now, we just said that we are getting some of those heart notes starting to punch through already, and it's not quite always as linear as we might describe through the perfume pyramid, but We've probably got now about, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes to wait while we wait for those heart notes to pop up. Now, this is a great opportunity for us just to put the fragrance aside for a moment and get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So,
What do you want to know?
we want to know everything. We want to know.
All right, I'm out.
But I guess probably the first question, a good place to start is, I guess, where did the interest in fragrance start?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. So I saw my mother, who used to work for a lot of different perfume brands when I was younger. Yeah, so she was a Maya perfume counter lady. And so in the 80s, and so she used to bring home all of the really strong, heady 80s perfumes. And I just thought they were so elegant and so beautiful. And she would always let me wear them and try them on. And it kind of, all the women in my family all worked in fashion or fragrance, or so I kind of always had that around me. Yeah, and so it piqued my interest, and I loved it so much that for my birthdays, probably I got my first perfume when I was like 9 or 10, because that's what I always wanted for Christmas. And I'd never ever thought that I would have the opportunity to be a perfumer, because I just thought that's something that you have to go to France to do. And it becomes somewhat like you just kind of shelve the idea, like you don't think you're capable of doing that. And it wasn't until much later in my 20s that I kind of started to dive back into, when I started to do natural medicine, and I was working more with herbs and learning more about them. And then I started to learn more about, natural essential oils and absolutes and lots of different things like that, where it just kind of snowballed from there for me. And I was always a little bit witchy. So, I'm part of that generation that all went to go and see The Craft and Practical Magic in high school. And, we all thought we were witches, and turns out some of us are. Yeah. So, and I just, so it all kind of went from there. Probably something I left out is I grew up in country Queensland. So I grew up on a cattle property. And well, I grew up part of it here in Victoria, so along the Otway. And then we ended up moving, long story short, we moved to this cattle property, and I grew up most of my teenage years there, so from about 10 onwards. And so I always really loved learning about the land and all the different flora and fauna. And I was a bit of a horsey girl. Well, I was definitely a horsey girl. And so I grew up riding horses and, being outside a lot. And so, some of my first scent memories are some of the core ones that I love the most are the ones when I was, really doing lots of horse riding. And I can remember that really beautiful, animalic, interesting smell of when you're riding a horse and you've been on a horse for like 5 hours doing some cross-country ride, and all the sweat and the oil, and like that's just a happy memory for me. I know that might sound a bit weird, but like some of those things, like scent for me is really tied to moments and memories. And like how I was telling you about creating Midnight Grove, like I love to think of a whole scene when I'm making something, so that I can really invite our customers into that scene as well. So I kind of like when I'm like that, when I think about those days of when I was writing or when I lived out in the country, I still have all these really beautiful little scent memories and things. And you just realize how powerful that is. And how can I package that and share it with others?
Amazing. So you did mention that you had a previous whole career as a natural therapist?
As a naturopath,
Yeah. So how was it to transition from that to being a perfumer, or having your own brand?
So we moved from Queensland. Well, I moved back here, my husband and I, and I started doing more clinic work here in Melbourne, and I was noticing a lot with my clients. They worked for a lot of different big perfume brands, actually, and cosmetic brands, and they were having fertility issues. And it was something that seemed like a real pattern to me. And so that's kind of where I started researching a little bit more about what was going into the products that they were using. And yeah, having that like background in natural health science, it really, really piqued my interest. And I wanted to just keep going and digging and seeing what was at the cause of that. And yeah, I think some of the things that they were probably using excessively or spraying excessively, there are just certain different synthetics in things, the unsafe ones, because there are safe synthetics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, they were probably just overusing things, and it was really affecting their chances of getting pregnant. So yeah, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a business apart from doing clinic work, because clinic work, I think if you speak to a lot of naturopaths, they will get to a point where it can feel like a bit of burnout, because you see so many people and you go through like a really huge period of like you're really doing a lot of giving and you're very there for people. And so it kind of got to that point for me in my career. And this kind of felt like a natural progression. I was like, there's the patterns. I'm really interested. I always wanted to make perfumes. I always wanted to do this, but I never thought I could. And yeah, I think the more research I did, the more I realized that I could. And I, slowly delved into it that way. I spent a lot of money making a lot of mistakes and making really shitty, awful things, which is like, oh my God, girl, don't show that to no one. But
It's all part of the journey.
it really is. But like, yeah, I purchased a lot of different books. I followed a lot of different natural perfumers because that's what I was interested in the beginning because of my study. Yeah, but now I work with everything across the board, making sure everything's really safe, of course. Yeah,
it's an important call out. We've discussed this on the show before. The idea of, I guess, safe synthetics, and synthetics are an important part of perfumery from a few different perspectives.
Yeah,
so
they really open a perfume up, gives you so much more to play with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like restricting your palette, your painter's palette. If you're saying you can only use these 5 colors, but you can't mix them. Yeah,
Absolutely. This is, I guess, we got access to synthetics in the 21st century, and prior to that, you were restricted to anything that you could sort of isolate from nature.
Yeah,
and it does provide you with a bit of versatility.
Yeah,
it helps you with the performance of your perfume. But what you were sort of describing there with sort of the dangerous side of synthetics, and I think we might be referring to things like hormone disruptors, which I think are phthalates, if I recall from previous conversations. But some of those things are present. And this is why it's really important that if you are going to use a perfume and it does contain synthetics, that the perfume house that is creating those perfumes is following the IFRA regulations as well, just to make sure that
Absolutely, yeah. Yep, definitely. I'm really big on checking all those things and making sure, but because I started off as a natural perfumer, pretty much most of my perfumes, if not, some of them are 100% natural, and some of them have the tiniest little bit of natural isolates or a synthetic in it that's safe. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So I think we've formed a pretty solid picture here of your background. So you've grown up in Queensland, you've been connected to nature from the get-go.
Don't hold it against me.
We'll try not to Victorians.
No, it's cool. I love Queensland. I love all of Australia. Okay, just for everyone out there.
So always involved with nature, riding horses, out on the property. You've got your family's had a background in, I guess, perfume and in the beauty industry, which has given you those early sort of experiences. And through your professional career, encountering people who have, maybe struggled to get pregnant, and you tied all of these knots together to say, okay, I'm going to start making perfumes.
Yes.
Now, making that decision to say, I'm going to make some perfumes to service, this audience, to creating a brand, and then creating a whole range of different perfumes and I guess taking your brand out there to scale. It's quite a leap. So what was the leap from, hey, I can see a need, to I'm going to start the brand CWS. I'm going to create a whole brand of different perfumes. What was that?
Okay, so I probably didn't tell you guys this previously. So I started, I used to have a previous business to this that was a little bit similar, but I decided to move into like a different branding style. But that's another story. So I started off making teas. So I started off doing the teas, and then I started to do the mists. And while I was kind of like getting my understanding of how to blend things, and it all kind of went from there. So my previous business used to be called Yalu. So it was called Yalu Apothecary. And so that's the business I started when I left clinic work in 2015. And so I've been doing it for that long, but I'm the kind of person that just jumps in and does things. And I just knew that I had to go with this, and otherwise I'm like, I don't want to go and work that other job. I don't want to go back to clinic. I really got to throw myself into this. And so I created this beautiful tea brand that basically were formulas that I used to use in tinctures, and that I used to give to clients. And so they're things that I'd seen work really well. And so I took my little bag of teas and I went to all the markets throughout Victoria, lots of regional markets, and then ones here in Melbourne. And then I took my mists, and then I got into making perfume oils, like aromatherapy ones. And where I think a lot of natural perfumers in Australia all have an aromatherapy background. Yeah. And then they may have gone and studied somewhere else. And but anyway, that's kind of what happened with me. And then once I felt like I was ready, I think I launched my first perfume in 2017. It was called the Empress. So again, very witchy. So it was after the tarot card, the Empress. And it was a perfume that had all the flowers in it, because when you first start natural perfumery, you want to play with all of the more expensive floral absolutes. And so that's what I did. Made so many mistakes getting there. And so it all kind of went from there. And then Yalu Apothecary became Yalu Natural Perfumery. And I didn't do the teas anymore, and I didn't do any of the other things. I just really focused in on perfume and other body products and stuff like that. And it felt really like grassroots, like a grassroots kind of business. It was all very beautiful and natural, and I felt like, because I wanted to play with the synthetics a little bit more, the safe ones, I was like, I have to close this business to move into the next one, because I felt like a lot of my customers from the previous business may not have appreciated that that's what I was going to do. So I really needed to close that chapter. And that was a good thing too, because starting fresh has got its own certain kind of magic to it. So I did that, and then started Cosmic Witch Society, where I got to really be like, hey, this is witchy, like super witchy, and also beautiful artisanal, daily ritual perfume potions that you can use to enhance the magic of your day. Yeah.
Awesome. Like a 10-year-long sort of journey that's evolved over time into CWS now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing your story. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to also ask, so now that you have obviously gone to Cosmic Witch Society and you're creating your fragrances, how do you go from the idea, the ideation process, through to the end, since everything is done in-house?
Yeah, okay, so like, how do I make a perfume?
Yeah.
Cool question. So for instance, you can see that I've got this one here, which is Hearth Song, and I've got Divine Rebellion. So I have a little bit of a goddess theme in some of my perfumes. In Witchcraft, depending on what kind of practice you have, some people may leave offerings for deities, or they will leave offerings for deities. And so what I wanted to do was bring in and work with the energy of the archetype of those different goddesses. So Divine Rebellion is the goddess Lilith. So it's a really beautiful perfume that I wanted it to smell very empowering and very sensual and very strong. And then Heartsong is inspired by the Celtic goddess Bridget. And so she's going to smell a little bit like a cottage witch that has a gorgeous fire going in her home and wilbur herbs hanging. And like she's been foraging in the forest and writing poetry by the fire. So I really wanted to, so when I'm going to create, I will pick, if I'm inspired by certain goddesses and I really love their story and I love the energy behind them and what they stand for, and I feel like that would be inspiring for our customers, then I go and take an image of them and how I see them in my mind's eye. And I start writing it out. I start writing out the scene, and then I think of all the different scents that will work with it. And then I might pick, the different heart notes that I think will really pop through, that I feel like are at the core of that perfume. So the Bridget perfume, a lot of botanicals associated with her are brambles, so anything with thorns. So I've got lots of berry notes and roses. So rose will really pop through in the heart of that. And Divine Rebellion, it's a very spicy, amber driven perfume, and I needed it to smell like it. She may have come out of the 80s. Like I feel like Lilith is, striding out of like a burning building. Like she's just burnt everything down, bombs are going off, and
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait.
Quite strong.
We'll spray those out shortly and we'll have a bit of a smell.
Sure.
But something you did say, just as you were explaining some of the fragrances there, or you mentioned the word foraging. And we met with you a couple of weeks ago to do a bit of a pre-discussion.
Yes.
And you did mention that you forage some of your own ingredients. Is that correct?
Witches love to forage. It's very intriguing, yeah. So if there is a botanical that I see that's in season and I really, really love the smell of it, I'll tincture it. So, when we used to live in Clifton Hill, I used to have a neighbour that had a really beautiful fig tree. On summer nights, I'd go clip some of them and go and use them in a tincture and have a little play with the formula and put it into things and see how it would react and work. And so there's things like that you can do, or we'd go and pick wild mugwort when it's in season, and it just has a really beautiful, sweet, herbaceous smell. It's sweeter than most people would think, and
Okay, so that's typically how you would create a perfume. You do a combination of some ingredients that you forage yourself, and then some that you source yourself.
Yeah.
Is that how you typically source your ingredients?
Definitely. So also it all depends if I want to be as true to making that perfume that encapsulates the essence of that particular deity. I'll go and find the botanical associations. And I also think it's so much nicer to try and have more of them that grow locally on the land that we walk on and live on, and weave them into the potion as well. Yeah, it just feels really nice. Yeah.
That's really cool. And you also mentioned on your website that everything is cruelty-free and vegan-friendly.
Definitely, yeah. That's been through both my businesses. I will always make sure that, it's cruelty-free. The vegan-friendly aspect is definitely with our cosmetics. The only thing that I would use that isn't vegan-friendly in some things is beeswax. Yeah, a beeswax absolute. And so some vegans won't want to use that because, well, I used to purchase from a small hive. And, so I knew that he was treating his bees well. But, some people may not want to purchase it if it is.
Because it disrupts the hive or...
Yeah. It all depends, like, how much of a mass production's happening. Some people might think that the bees are armed. Yeah, and they may be. So
That's fair enough concern.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so we're probably, I'd say we're well into the dry down now.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
the opening notes. So it might be time to maybe explore our heart notes.
Yeah. So just as a refresher, if we think about the perfume pyramid once again, and the heart notes form the core of the pyramid, this is where the perfume comes into its own. It's the personality and the essence of the perfume that we are now going to be exploring. So with that, Rhiannon, if you could tell us what is in the heart notes.
the heart notes. Okay, so you would have heard me earlier say that I put a little bit of a touch of rose in there. So there's a little bit of Turkish rose. There's a little bit of jasmine grandiflora. The heart notes of the Midnight Grove, they kind of mesh a little bit with the base now. I'm really smelling. So I can really smell the musk coming through. So it's a very earthy kind of black musk, vegan black musk kind of smell. So we use things like amber seed, which has a really beautiful natural musk smell. There's also lots of really beautiful incense notes. I find any time that you will blend the musk with a dark patchouli, you get a really beautiful incense note. So that's what you can really smell popping through. I feel like patchouli just takes over at this stage. If you can really smell that dark, earthy, almost powdery, it's slightly powdery, and then mixed with the vetiver, it's there ever so softly. So it's actually a really complex blend for a natural. So sometimes some things will just take over. That's why it's like you'll notice. For me, when I wear it, I always think it smells so different on my skin than it does to the blotter. It needs the warmth of your skin to open it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite different at this stage from what I'm smelling on the blotter here.
You could smell a little bit of frankincense too, which is just, again, that little bit of fresh, balsamic kind of, resiny smell. But yeah, you can really start to smell the woods too come through in the heart notes, whereas at the beginning, the green terpene, not so much woody at the beginning, and now you're really starting to smell the woods mingle with the earth and the musk, and yeah.
Can I smell it on you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a real cashmere and
Smells quite different.
It's nice, isn't it?
yeah. But that's the thing with musk. It always will smell different on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually quite roster. I think it's fresher on you. Do you think it's fresher on you?
Yeah. Some people think musks are fresh. So it's like,
Whereas mine smells, as it smells really, to me, it's rich, old worldy.
Yeah.
It's the kind of smell I'm getting off of my skin.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Forest.
it's quite foresty and fresh. It's really, it's quite strange how it interacts with your skin chemistry, and it just gives it a very different smell.
Yeah.
So there's another term that you've just used there that's I sort of want to jump on because I'm trying to educate myself. Grandiflora.
Yeah.
So I know there's a brand out there called Grandiflora, but what does Grandiflora actually mean?
Oh, I actually don't know, but it's just the botanical name. So jasmine grandiflora, there can be other things that are grandiflora. So I would say that it's just a botanical name that's created for to describe different species within that type of flower. So there could be other different types of grandiflora.
Okay, yeah, naming convention.
Kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I should get the answer to that. I've always just gone jasmine grandiflora. Excellent. Go in the vessel.
That's what it's all about, right? We're all learning as we go. I'm sure. As a perfumer, you're constantly learning as well, and every time you learn something,
Tell you the distinctions. So there's lots of different types of jasmine. So predominantly, you'll see people use jasmine sambac, which really has that super white floral narcotic type of smell where you expect it in something that's a very sensual style perfume, and jasmine grandiflora brings almost a different type of fresh lightness to it. So almost like it's the linen of the jasmines, because it has that more clean kind of white floral smell. It's not the sensual white floral. It's not the narcotic white floral. It's a little bit cleaner value to it.
Diverse, isn't it? It gets so many different smells out of just one flower. It's good.
Jasmine's cool like that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. It's also got really interesting, well, you know about indoles?
No.
Okay, so indole notes are an interesting one, and they are present in jasmine. And so they're also present in other things in nature. So that's the poo-poo note.
That's what indole.
So when they say indolic, that's what they refer to.
Exactly. And it's present in lots of different narcotic style florals. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have heard.
We've heard that term,
We've heard
indolic.
indolic, but never dual into it because some people will just say, "Hey, it's got a sort of fecal type of smell," and it's a little bit clearer that that's the poo-poo note.
It is the poo-poo note, yeah. But for some reason, when it's in the floral, it makes us want to smell it more because it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just we're all animals, we're all animals by nature, and there's something about it that draws us to it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Now, we also both love vetiver.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we've mentioned on a previous episode that we like to share vetiver perfumes, which is great.
I did say that, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about the specific vetiver that you picked and the earthy facet that you've selected.
Yeah, I used to have a love-hate relationship with vetiver. I had a lot of friends that liked vetiver perfumes. My bestie loves vetiver, and so it kind of got me into like I've got to use vetiver more because it is fantastic. It's a beautiful root. Yeah, and actually, the one that I use is from Indonesia, and I find that the best vetiver comes from Indonesia. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. I should have brought you in like a straight sample of vetiver absolute to smell, because then you could really once you smell the real thing, and then you can characterize it or really see where it pops in the perfumes that you love.
Sounds like a great way to bring you back onto the show. Canadians help us sort of experience that. Fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to do some perfume workshops or potion workshops at the new place once I get all the studio set up properly and the garden going. So yeah, I really hope to have people out and show them through all the potions and all the different essentials and absolutes and let them have a play. You'll have to come out and visit us.
That sounds simple.
We love a workshop.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll just make sure, we do mention this at the end of the show as well, but we'll just make sure that your website is on our website and also on the show notes here. So if you do want to register for any of the workshops, they'll be available when you post them.
Yeah, cool.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that there is incense in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a woody incense. Now, there's lots of different types of incense, and I love a good incense note. What makes this incense a woody incense?
Well, it does have a lot of woods in it. There's a little bit of sandalwood in there, and sandalwood is a wood that you would use in most incense making. Yeah, it's in most incense. So incense sticks will use things like joss wood or mako wood powder. But yeah, a lot of people will put sandalwood in because they'll find the cheaper sandalwood and grind it down to a powder, and then you'll be able to add all the other different things in with it to make the incense. And it just has that incense quality. It's a really beautiful, a creamy, sweet, kind of woody smell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've definitely seen quite a lot of price variation in sandalwood. So we love, so we've got a sauna at home and we love to, play around with different sort of essential oils there. And you can see two sandalwood side by side, an Australian sandalwood and maybe one from, say, India, for instance.
That's a nice source sandalwood.
Yes. And the price difference is extraordinary. One's $6, the other's $60. And it's just like 10 times the amount for an Australian sandalwood. So
yeah, it just costs a lot more here to grow them and to pay people to look after them and then to press the oils out. And yeah, I mean, the Australian sandalwood smells incredible, and there's a reason why it's so popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was an issue a while back with Mysore sandalwood in India and supply, and there was they were afraid that that they were going to use up all the supply, and so people had to pivot. And that's a good thing too. So that's where a lot of companies like Givaudan or Robertet came up with different scent molecules that will smell like sandalwood. And so one that's very, very popular is Sandala 85, which I think you'll find that a lot in the Lalabo scent, the Santal perfume that I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good thing that they did it, because we really needed to look after the natural growth of things and help bring it back to health before you can start to dive into using them again. Yeah. So sometimes that's a more sustainable option.
I love that we've come full circle here, because we were talking about, it's safe for synthetics and why we use, synthetic molecules and synthetic notes in the first place. And it's not just about the performance of the perfume, but it can be about sustainability as well. It's just not sustainable to, use everything from nature, because sometimes to distill some of these ingredients down to the actual oils that you use in your perfumes, you have to use tons and tons of these ingredients. I think rose is probably really...
You do. Oh my God, rose is so expensive, yeah. But there are a lot of good natural isolates that replicate beautiful, soft, dewy rose smell. It just all depends. So for me, I'm a bit of a rose Puritan, just because I understand how powerful the smell of real rose is. So there's a little bit of study out there talking about the vibrational frequency of the rose itself, and how it really is a bit of a heart opener, or it lifts our spirits when we're feeling a little bit down. And so for me, I'm like, no, I'm putting the real thing in that, because I don't feel like I want to skip that step. And being a witch, I feel like I want everyone to feel good when they wear my perfumes. So I've used a little bit of the different isolates along the way, but predominantly I love working with a Turkish rose that I've found, and that goes into a lot of things.
Now, we've got a bit of time still left in terms of the dry down between our heart and our base. And you've already brought out a couple of the additional perfumes that you've brought along today, but I'd like to maybe start with an introduction. So you've got quite a lot of perfumes in your range. You've got core, and you've got sort of seasonals or special edition of fragrances. So it would be nigh on impossible to go through all of those today without spending hours and hours and hours.
Yep.
So you've done us a favor, and you sort of whittled it down to sort of 2 core and 2 sort of seasonal fragrances. So what have you actually brought in with you today?
Cool. All right. So I brought in 2 limited editions. And these are the ones that have been most popular with people recently. So I brought in our Liminal Rites, which is kind of my riff on a fougere style perfume. And then the Last Petal, which I've never made a perfume like this before. And there's probably more synthetics in this than anything I've ever made. And it's been really popular. Yeah, I think in comparison to what I make, it's very different. The stories behind each of them. So the Liminal Rites is the meeting of day and night. So the liminal hours, the crossing over of the guard, and that feeling of when you come home to your creature comforts and the sun's going down and you're in all your cozy woolens and you've got a nice glass of wine or a cup of tea and you're really just sitting back and letting the stress of the day slip away. So the Liminal Rites is meant to have that really beautiful, comforting scent to it. And the Last Petal is for people who miss summer in the middle of winter. So it's one I released a couple of months ago as a winter.
Yes, it's very
scent.
gorgeous.
All right, so we've obviously got the opening notes here on the blotter. What are the opening notes here that we're experiencing?
So definitely you're going to get a lot of French lavender. You could smell that. You could smell the clary sage. There's also, I feel like at the beginning of this, you get a little bit of the green of the fig. It's ever so slightly in there. Then we're going to smell, I've created it with a beautiful vanilla tincture with some Tahitian vanilla. So I put that in plus a lot of other different sweet vanilla scents in there. So it's like slightly gourmandy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely that clary sage and the lavender thing. Yeah.
As you say, that comforting, sort of relaxing kind of in between hours. Yes.
I just love, everyone loves the smell of lavender, and it always smells like, relaxing times at times. So, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So obviously we can't go all the way through the dry down here.
Yeah.
What would we, if we had the time and we could get to the heart and the base, what would we be experiencing?
Actually, the thing that you would probably smell the most is the black tea absolute, which kind of comes through a little bit at the beginning. And then I have a little bit of a hay note in there as well, which smells like straw, like crushed dry straw. And that works really beautifully with notes like French lavender and the sage, and then adding it in with lots of different creamy notes, like the vanilla, and it makes it a little bit sweeter. There's a little bit of sandalwood in there as well, a little bit of oak moss, which I love. When I first started to really make perfumes, I thought I was so fancy using oak moss. I still think that every time I pull it out. There's a little bit of Calabrian bergamot, a little bit of orris root in there as well, which gives it that powdery, earthy style quality as well. Yeah, which I really love that. Yeah,
that's delightful.
It really is. It's interesting because perfumes like this that are really well blended. It's hard to necessarily pick out the individual notes that are in there, but then you say the note, you go, actually, I can smell the hay. So now I'm starting to get out. Your brain just needs to sort of separate all of these different notes out, and then you go, oh, okay, now I can understand it and appreciate it.
Totally. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a wonderful fragrance.
Thank you.
All right, I think we should keep spraying because we love.
Okay.
We love to experience.
Let's do the last petal.
Your fragrances are typically quite small batch. Are they?
Yeah.
So what would be the sort of the volume that you create of any?
I'd make them in batches of 50.
50, okay. Oh, yeah, they're quite small batch.
So the last petal has a lot of beautiful florals, but it also has some interesting fruity notes. So think mango. It's like a creamy mango. Did I spray enough of it on there for you? Does that get
yeah,
right?
Yeah, very definitely got it.
Yeah. It has a beautiful skin musk quality to it as well when it's worn. So it almost smells like skin, like fresh, clean skin. Once the dry down happens, which is kind of a bit of a popular thing in perfumery over the last couple of years. You would have heard people talk about a skin musk. This is kind of a riff on that. It's got some beautiful green vegetal notes, so like a beautiful, I love tomato leaf. Just when I go and smell it in the garden, I'm like, oh, get on my nose, it's so good. And so I had to put a little bit of that in there because I'm like, if it's going to be a perfume that reminds you of summer, I think of like a really beautiful, ripe, verdant summer garden and tomatoes in there for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you smell this, you do sort of think there is no way that you could possibly feel all that hot and sweaty while you were wearing it. But
You put this one on when you've just come out of the shower and you're fresh to go and have cocktails, and
it's just very fresh.
Yeah, green.
Fresh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you've mentioned the tomato leaf.
Yep, it has a little bit of rose, a little bit of jasmine. There's a real ozonic quality to it as well, or aqueous ozonic quality. So it should smell like the breeze through the garden in the first spray, yeah.
So is that what ozonic means? It means...
It's an air smell.
An air smell?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some things that, are characterized as being aqueous. So things like cucumber or melon or something that smells kind of juicy almost. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. even things like ambroxan can be described that way, or oceanic, or aqueous, yeah. Because it's meant to mimic ambergris, but the isolate comes from sage. Yeah. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, which is really interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
So as we go through the dry down here, what would we be experiencing sort of at the?
ultimately it's meant to be the skin musk smell, so it's a little bit drier at the end. A slight bit of the floral, so a little bit of the rose, a tiny bit of the jasmine, but then you can really smell a little bit of that melon, a little bit of that green garden smell, like it's almost like you've watered the garden and the sun's going down. That feeling of summer in the air.
It's lovely, very fresh.
I think everyone really appreciated being reminded of warmer times ahead.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're here in Melbourne.
Totally. Yeah, we were all freezing our butts.
So this one will dry down to a bit more of a skin scent with the focus on the months.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful experience, just something a little bit different for our customers, and I feel like it really resonated. So I'm going to make more, and I think I'll actually add that one to the collection.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers will want to absolutely jump on this, so you'll definitely need to make some more.
Well, it's more modern, and I think sometimes with natural perfumery, you can really kind of get stuck in what smells like a vintage style perfume, because that's how perfume used to be made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so that's one of the joys of broadening your perfumer's organ or palette, is that you can play with different things and try things like making the last petal. Yeah.
Lovely. So you brought in another 2 perfumes. So this will be the core range.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Fantastic for the core. So just as you're going through that, how many fragrances have you actually got in your core range?
Oh, I've got 5.
5 in the core. Fantastic. So everything else will be a limited edition or a special edition.
Yeah, that's just when I'm having a bit of fun trying out what's cool or what I feel like making. Yeah, and just it's a really great way for me to do a little bit of market research too, so I get to really see what our customers like and what I should make more of. That's one of the joys of being an artisan perfumer, is that we do it all ourselves. So.
Fantastic. So if it's really popular and people love it, it might end up making it into the core range.
Yep. Yeah.
So which one did you just spray out for us?
Heart Song. So it's the one that I said that will really smell. You'll be able to smell the rose come through. So a lot of that Turkish rose. It's also got a really nice kind of clean smell to it as well. There is a lot of different vanillas throughout this, a lot of different berry notes. So you'll smell a little bit of black currant. Absolute, which has a really beautiful green smell to it. This is an all natural perfume, so it's going to smell different on everybody, and definitely smells different on the blotter. It has a bit of patchouli in it, ever so slightly. A lot of a beautiful sticky amber accord that I made. A little bit of Peru balsam, which has again that real vanilla balsamic note, and it's again quite sweet. So some people, when they've smelt this, they think it smells a little bit lolly. That is interesting.
That was my first impression. It was musky, like those musk lollies.
Yeah.
Sweet, but not overly sweet.
Yeah.
Just has that nice lolly type smell to it.
It also
Fill your face later.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's delicious.
like the lolly fires. So I'm working on a whole range of like gourmand style perfumes, because so many people ask me for them, and I've always been like, I can't do it. I can't make the Halloween scents. That's like that. I'm gonna go there. So
I do like gourmands.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. There's a really nice way to do it. So yeah, I'm working on that. So you'll smell a little bit of like green geranium. I've also put a beautiful mugwort tincture through this. So again, adds that green kind of sweet herbaceous value to it. There's also really beautiful honey and beeswax through this one as well. So that's what I find, it's just so beautiful to add with floral absolutes, because they come from flowers, and so it just feels like a perfect marriage as well. Yeah.
So mugwort. Mugwort. I hear mugwort, it feels so witchy, right? That's this gets thrown into the bubbling cauldron.
Yeah.
but I just don't encounter mugwort in my everyday life in terms of smell. So how would you describe mugwort as a note?
Okay, so mugwort has a really beautiful green sweet smell. When you pick it fresh, it peters out a little bit when you tincture it. But yeah, I really wanted that herbaceous scent note to balance out the other ones. Mugwort in Witchcraft, we use it to cleanse a space, so you can burn it.
Oh.
So you see people do smoke sticks.
Yep.
Yeah, you can use it for that, or you can wrap it into incense. People put it into anointing oils, or you use it in teas for opening the psychic eye. So a lot of different cultures have used it to help have foresight, so to use it for divination. Yeah. So a lot of modern witches might use it to when they're like reading tarot cards, and it's quite relaxing. It actually has a really beautiful kind of slightly euphoric value to it. So I think of it like a relaxing on a Sunday afternoon kind of vibe.
Oh.
So it can sort of like open the connection to spirit and sort of help channel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just chills us out a bit. Yeah,
So is
and
it
it's with the divine. Yeah.
just the theme that sort of runs through all of your fragrances is that there are always an element of something from witchcraft that is sort of fused into every fragrance.
Absolutely. So our core range to actually have sigils. So that's these little guys on the back here of the box.
We'll superimpose that onto the screen for our viewers. Fantastic.
Yeah, so all of them have their own little sigil, and sigils in witchcraft are what we use to imbue intention into the potion. So it's an art form of creating them. I won't dive into it so much, but what we do is we create it. We think of the intention we want to put into it. So for Midnight Grove, it is about being one with nature. And so I create the artwork and the sigil that goes with that. And there's a little bit of a ritual that goes into cultivating that magic and then releasing that magic and making sure it's imbued into the potion or the vessel. Yeah. So it's quite beautiful, really. Yeah. So if I really showed everything to you and mapped it out and showed you the ritual of making it, it's really, really, really beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than just sort of mixing different elements together. You're actually imbuing or activating I guess the sigil, which is the
Activating is
intention.
a really good way to describe it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So and then each individual fragrance, has it got its own sigil or its own?
It does. Well, the core range does, because that's really how I wanted to start CWS, is to create these core potions. And they all have, so I did a lot of perfume oils at the beginning, really concentrated ones, and there was probably ones there that didn't work, and that I moved into just creating the EDPs. And so I've got just 5 of the cores with their own sigil work on them. And so the ones that I described to you that maybe have a different deity behind them. And so what's cool when you work with different deity energy is that they have different botanical associations. So you can then, as a perfumer, I decide how I'm going to wrap those botanical associations in with the scent, whether or not I think it will marry up with the others, and they'll work out. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So this one, I know you mentioned it before, but which deity is this one?
Bridget. Yeah, so actually we celebrate Bridget at Imbolc, which is a turn on the pagan witch's wheel, which basically is a celebration of the first signs of spring. Yeah, and so I was actually in Ireland earlier this year. I did a little side quest adventure by myself, and I'd always wanted to go. And my heritage is Irish, and so I decided to go over and spend St. Bridget's Day there in Imbolc. And she's got a really cool story, actually. So she actually is a pagan Celtic goddess, but when the Christians, the Catholics came, they basically repackaged Bridget to convert people to religion. And so yeah, it was a really cool experience to go over there and see how she's actually celebrated in all of her facets. So she also used to be a brigandine nun, I think. And yeah, so there are lots of different places where people go to leave offerings or talk to Bridget and ask her for help or for healing help. So she is a deity of fire, the forge of creativity, so poetry, but also midwifery.
Oh.
Yeah, she's really interesting. So she actually was one of the first recorded abortions, actually, which I thought was really interesting. So she's a bit of a feminist icon in Ireland. So in Dublin, they have a huge parade and all the women come out and they're dressed in some pretty crazy outfits. You'll have to go Google it.
Wow.
But yeah, it was more of a feminist festival than I realized. And so, yeah, it was really nice to go and see these huge fire events and see how she's celebrated. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. You do find this a lot with a lot of those pagan gods and the pagan rituals. A lot of them were adopted or repurposed, as you say, repurposed by the Catholic or the Christian religion, because it's just far easier to get more people to, I guess, join the faith.
Absolutely.
They could relate to it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the interesting thing about the Irish people that I learnt, is that they still kind of hold a flame for those pagan values, as well as being good Christians or good Catholics. So they feel like they can be both. There's a bit of balance there, and I really like that. Yeah.
In both camps. Geez, go. All right, so let's round this one out. Have we missed any notes here in terms of the sort of the heart and the base notes here?
No, it's just a little bit of the amber at the bottom that you can kind of smell. It's ever so slight. It smells really different to me in here, actually.
It's definitely, this is a thing, I guess, with the uses. It's just not going to evolve as quickly on the blotter as it would on the skin. And so
Totally.
for me, I'm still getting that sort of musky lol in the opening. Yeah.
For sure. There's a little bit of angelica root in there as well, but you kind of have to know what that smells like to know it's there. Again, a little bit green, a little bit floral, a little bit earthy.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I can't remember smelling an angelica root before, but that's it.
Same. Oh, come on over. I'll show you.
All right, let's explore the last one that we brought in for today. So what are we spraying out?
Divine Rebellion. So this is the Lilith perfume. She's spicy. She's strong. Oh, here we go.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about, before we go through the fragrance here, tell us a little bit about Lilith.
Okay, the goddess.
The goddess.
Oh, well, she's pretty interesting. She's got lots of different stories. So Lilith has lots of representations through time. So I think maybe she's originally from Mesopotamia, and you'll see her in also lots of different Jewish folk magic stories. And she's also present through lots of different celestial magic as well as ceremonial magic. Yeah, she's quite interesting. People think she is a mother of demons, or she is a fallen angel, or she is a vampire. There's lots of different stories. She's got great stories, actually. But behind it all, or she is associated with religion as well. So she's the woman that decided she didn't want Adam.
Yes. So, yeah, from the original sort of, the original story, so she came before Eve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she crosses quite a lot of different religious stories.
She does.
But overall perception is that she might err towards the darker side of things.
She does. And I think that conception comes just because she was a woman standing in her power. And perhaps that was just perceived as taboo. But really, I think, yeah, she exists in all of us. Yeah.
So has that fed into the creation of this fragrance? Is this why you called this fragrance?
Totally. Yeah. Divine Rebellion. So it's all about our own I guess, getting to know our own shadow self and our own light self and standing in our own sovereignty or our own power.
Okay, so that rebelliousness of Lilith is in there with divine rebellion. All right, good setup. Let's have a smell. All right, so what are we smelling here and now in our opening?
Okay, at the beginning, you are going to get a little bit of pink pepper, or maybe a lot of pink pepper, or depends how much you love that. You're going to get a little bit of a spicy amber note, which really comes through. A little bit of dragon's blood resin. Yeah,
Okay, you
phrases. That's a natural. So it's actually bright red. So it comes from a really beautiful tree. I think the majority of them come from Oman. Yeah, and they look kind of like a brain almost growing up, and yeah, they're just really beautiful. And so again, it's a resin, so tears, resin tears, and
So it's a resin from a tree called dragon's blood.
yes,
Never heard of that before. Okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
All right, and it's from the Middle East.
Yep. Yeah. So that actually again has a really spicy balsamic scent to it as well. Yeah. It can be very clean smelling as well, yeah. So the amber really is the thing that kind of takes over with this perfume. Again, like I felt like the amber in it smelled like an 80s perfume to me, but I just kind of went with it. There's a lot of myrrh. So the core formula for this has a lot of myrrh absolute from Ethiopia, I think this one comes from. Patchouli from Indonesia. I have a little bit of Australian sandalwood in it. Yeah. And there's a little bit of an Arabian oud in there as well. Ever so slightly. But
stuck some oud in there.
I did. But the thing is, oud is so expensive, and all the good stuff is anyway. And I found the amber, because I had more of that. I had to let that kind of take over in making this. So yeah, you think the oud is kind of being overshadowed. But yeah. Then we have a little bit of cardamom. There's a little bit of bergamot. That you actually get a little bit of the cardamom at the beginning, ever so slightly. That spicy kind of like, I'm not going to say sweat, but yeah, it's kind of very earthy again, like dusty. There's a little bit of Calabrian bergamot, a tiny, tiny bit of jasmine in there, but it doesn't really come through. I don't think so. There's a little bit of cedarwood, a tiny bit of different rose-style isolates. Yeah. So things like citronellol and geraniol. Then we have tonka bean, again, which is it can be spicy, it could be sweet. Also, it can have a bit of a whiskey kind of element to it as well. And vanilla absolutes or vanilla oleoresins. So they're very thick and syrupy. It really does. When I made this, I realized that I wanted to add something extra to it. I did something by mistake, and so I slightly shifted the formula, and I ended up creating this little cherry on top formula, which really I should not have done it, because I made my job harder. Because some of these things now I can't find the source of. So there's really beautiful blue water lilies that are in it. So ever slightly. Again, different types of beeswax, and yeah. So yeah, it's really quite interesting. Things that I wanted that would come from that area or where her stories come from. I wanted to use a lot of those intense types of resins or florals. Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's definitely spicy, but it's it's quite well balanced in that. Yeah, you've got that sort of, I guess I'm getting a bit of a watery element.
You are, right?
Yeah, from it for me anyway, to my nose.
Yeah.
Spicy and watery. That's my sort of impression. What about yourself?
Everybody's
I was wondering if there was beeswax in it.
There we
So
go.
I was picking a bit of that up.
Yeah, great.
Rather
Yeah,
than,
nice.
but
Thank-
otherwise, there's something mysterious to me about the smell. So it's almost like you'd walk into this and you'd think you just missed something.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I'm getting rather than being able to describe every note.
Yeah, it's meant to smell like an ancient temple. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you did mention, as you were describing that myriad of different notes, that not everything you can smell. So I think you mentioned jasmine. You can really smell the jasmine in it. But that's also a bit of an important part of perfumery, is that not every note is designed necessarily to be smelled as an individual note, but it can serve to enhance other notes or complement other notes.
Absolutely. In this perfume too. So, an interesting little thing behind the making of it. So, in ancient Egypt, they used to use beeswax or wax or animal fat to house the scent. And then you may have seen it in hieroglyphs where they have the cones on their heads, these giant cones. Well, they're actually like lard or wax or with all the botanicals wrapped through, and then they let it slowly drip over their bodies so that they would be scented and smell good, because people may not have been bathing. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to use this really nice beeswax I found, and then I'm going to wrap all these resins and beautiful things through it to make this perfume. I think that's fit for a goddess.
Absolutely. I love that imagery.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I guess I have to ask then, does the beeswax help with the longevity?
Oh, yeah. It's actually one of those ingredients that I'm really fussy about. It really does create literally, because it's sticky too, like it really has that beautiful stick and it holds everything. With naturals, it's just, it's such a beautiful ingredient to have on your shelf. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Lovely, complex, really delightful fragrance. Thank you so much for taking us through those ones.
You're welcome.
So we probably had probably enough time now to get to our base note.
Oh, yeah.
Of Midnight Grove. So just before we do jump back into Midnight Grove, let's finish out our perfume pyramid. So we're about to experience the base notes of Midnight Grove. And if we think again about our perfume pyramid, our base notes sit right at the very bottom. So with this imagery of the pyramid, the base notes take up the largest component of the pyramid. There's a good reason for that, and that's because that's how our perfume is built. It's actually built from the base up. The base notes support all of those other notes that sit there in the heart and in the opening. So when we think about base notes are almost the opposite of our opening notes, where our opening notes are quite light, they're quite volatile. Our base notes are quite heavy, quite dense, and they stick on the skin for the longest period of time. So once our opening notes have dissipated and our heart notes have dissipated, what we're left with is those base notes that stick on the skin for quite a substantial period of time, anywhere between sort of 4 hours and in some fragrances 16 hours or more. It really just depends on the formulation. So with that explanation of base notes, what are we smelling here in our base?
Okay, so it's definitely an incense dry down. And when I say incense, you'll smell little bits of musk, a little bit of amber. There's also, I find, when I'm smelling it now, I could smell the sandalwood in this dry down. But like I said, I am recovering from a cold. I'm feeling like things are coming out very differently to me. But yeah, you'll be able to smell like that. It's like a creamy wood smell. But remember how I said sandalwood is present in a lot of incense? So it just helps describe an incense note as well. Yeah, and it also has like a little bit of like a cashmere musk smell in there as well. Yeah, which makes it a slightly floral musk kind of smell.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that was something I was curious about. Because you've got more than one kind of musk, haven't you?
Totally, and it gives it that clean smell, I think, that you kind of mentioned earlier.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, some musks are used to create like a clean smell on the body, and I feel like kind of has that quality ever so slightly. Yeah.
Yeah, so some are clean, some are a little bit, I guess, a bit more sensual, I suppose. So this is more leaning towards that clean side of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about the amber. So we've explored amber like a couple of times on the show, mentioning the note amber. But amber tends to be made up of different sort of resins and balsams, and it's a bit of a sort of a mix. With this particular amber that you're using here in the base, how would you, I guess, describe this particular note?
Well, because it's called Midnight Grove, I decided to go with a really gooey pine amber resin. Yeah, and so it just has all the qualities that I needed, plus a couple of other secret herbs and spices. But that is one of the main ones that I used in it because it is just like the beeswax. It's really gooey and sticky. Amber or pine resin has the same quality, and just the smell alone is just the most delicious, warming, gooey, sweet smell. Like you would love it because you like the gourmand style perfumes. Yeah. You want to eat it. Like, it's just so delicious.
I really love it being described as gooey.
Yeah, it really is. Like, you should see me when I'm there pouring it. I'm like, I could be flicking on my phone and I'm there like still 10 minutes later. I'm pouring it down. It takes through.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so just to round out about the base notes, if there's anything else that you'd like to call out, otherwise, if you could just give us a little bit of idea of how they come together to kind of linger on the skin and sort of set up the whole intention of the witch in the fragrance.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, I really did want that kind of like incensey smell. But I really want to take people for a walk through the forest or into the forest first before we get to the smell of the incense and the smell of what I think smells like a ritual. So that's why you really smell the herbs. And I sometimes when I've got customers in front of me, I'll go through those different visuals so that they can kind of feel like they're going through that. Yeah. So walking into the beautiful forest, feeling it around you, feeling the night around you, the cool air, and then that feeling of being connected and feeling safe with nature. And then, that in like lots of different practices and people in their everyday will use incense. So I kind of wanted to encapsulate all these little things and all these feelings of what it means to probably be a modern witch. Yeah. Yeah.
So the forest, deep in the forest at midnight, that's where we go.
Where the fun's at.
Fantastic. So we've all the way through the show, we've been referring to your collection as fragrances, and they are fragrances. But in terms of how CWS and yourself refer to your fragrances, do you refer to them as potions?
Yeah. They're perfume potions. Definitely the ones that are made specifically for that purpose. The things that are the limited edition, probably not so much. They're just because I feel like making them and wanting to share them. But yeah, I wanted to really dive into creating literal potions and see how that resonated with people. Yeah.
Hence the sigils, the intention, the magic.
Yes. So like the Bridget perfume, the Hearth Song is meant to inspire us. So it's meant to help us with the creative spark. So if you're somebody that writes poetry or you are a writer or a songwriter, it'd be a really beautiful perfume to use before you go to sit down and have writing sessions, things like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, before we round out, all of the fragrance discussion here, the witch piece. What inspires you to be a witch? Where's the interest come from? You did mention that back in your school days, a lot of people were quite interested in Wicca and witchery, I guess. But for you, what inspires you to be a witch?
I just love nature. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a green witch. So when I first started studying to be a naturopath, It's because I envisioned that I was going to have this beautiful apothecary wall full of herbs and things, and learn how to heal people through nature. And so that's really where that started for me, I think, is learning to be somebody that helps others. Yeah, and that's kind of weaved into what I do with CWS. Yeah, so yeah, there's healing elements that come through what I do. Yeah.
So I guess for people who may not be all that aware of what being a witch is all about, and Wicca, for instance, I guess a lot of us might be a little bit skewed because the only exposure that we've had to witches is Halloween or movies. It's all about, witches being evil, sort of evil, dark characters, right? But
Yeah.
it's actually not what being witch is all about at all, is it?
For some people, maybe. And, I support that. Yep, that's what they want. But for me, it's about my connection with nature, and through the healing elements and being able to heal with herbs. That's really where it started for me. But I was always, from a young age, really interested in natural medicine. So, yeah, that was something that I always really loved. But yeah, being a witch, definitely that's part of what it means to me. But also it means connection to where you came from and honoring that connection and, yeah, learning about it. And there's so much to learn. It's so fascinating. And learning that there's many different types of practices. Yeah, it's kind of, and it also, who doesn't want to live a magical life, right? Who doesn't want to believe that there's a little bit of magic out there?
100%. I think we're both subscribers to that idea. Actually, I think that's probably more of our lived experience rather than subscribing to an idea that there is a little bit of magic and intention in our lives, and it's not just
Absolutely
meaningless and random. So
yeah.
And hopefully others can see that as well, because it does add a little bit of magic to life.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking us on that really in-depth guided tour through Midnight Grove. Absolutely fascinating. Learned a lot about additional perfumery terms that we weren't aware of. Particular notes that we have been exposed to before. It's been quite fascinating.
Yeah, so much to go away and Google. I have to say, cool.
Send me an email.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the afternoon. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. It's been wonderful. Learned a lot. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
And I guess before you go, it would be a couple of things. First of all, where can listeners find your fragrances? So,
okay. You can find it via www.cosmicwitchsociety.com.au. We have a couple of different stockists around Australia, so I've only just started to wholesale. So, yeah, this business has only been going since 2023 in December, so Christmas. So I have a beautiful the Blue Mountains Art Gallery. And then I also have one of my friends, Megan, has a beautiful little witch shop in Canberra. But you can find all those things via our website. Yeah.
Fantastic. So those of you who are watching on YouTube will have the CWS website on your screen now, right at the bottom of the screen that you can note down. For those of you who are listening via Spotify or via Apple, we'll embed the Cosmic Witch Society website straight into the description, so it's nice and easy to find. Now, on your screen now, you'll see a QR code that's popping up. You can scan that QR code with your mobile phone, and that will take you to our website, which is olfactive.com.au. If you head over to the episodes page, you'll see a breakdown of Rhiannon's profile along with the Cosmic Witch Society, and there will also have a link through to the website along with Rhiannon's socials. So nice and easy to find.
Thanks. This has been so much fun. I could talk to you guys all day.
Fantastic. We've really enjoyed it as well.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just also, do you do discovery sets?
I do, yeah. Because I do everything in small batches. I have to, when I make the batches, I then have to do the the little minis, and so I have to wait till I stock them up. And then I release the discovery kits. So they are pre-order. So I do them every couple of months.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they sell out really quickly. So
Oh, okay. So it's good to know.
yeah, absolutely. So if you see I pop them up,
So get in fast.
jump on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it is important that you sample perfumes, because we're doing our best now to describe what a note might smell like and what the breakdown of those perfumes smell like. But there's no real replacement for wearing it on your skin and actually getting a true sense of what those fragrances smell like. So
Absolutely. You need to try them for yourself. And because we use predominantly natural ingredients, everything is going to react differently on everyone's individual skin type.
certainly learned that today. The Midnight Grove smells quite different in your skin as it does to mine. Both lovely, but both quite different.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our listeners. We hope that you've enjoyed this really special podcast today, the Cosmic Witch Society. And if you have, please like and subscribe, and perhaps even leave us a comment. Until next time, please continue to smell and sniff and enjoy the beautiful fragrances in Australia. And we look forward to seeing you next time for another fantastic fragrance and the makers behind it. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.